People say there's no right or wrong way of doing some things, but they're wrong. There might not technically be an incorrect way, but there's usually a faster way. And while you might not consider these to be life-changing differences, they certainly save you a lot of time in the long run. Today, we're showing you 10 things you do wrong every day, and exactly how you can make sure you're doing them right from now on. One thing you might be doing wrong is watching this video and simply clicking onto a new screen afterwards. Of course, the correct way to do this is to click the red subscribe button below before we start, to make sure you're not missing out on our great videos. Storing manuals. How many times have you bought a product and then lost the manual? If you're sensible, you'll have stored it somewhere important and it'll sit there for months or even years. Time will pass and you'll naively think that you'll never need to crack open the manual to fix your car, nor cooker, or other household appliance. But that time will come, and more often than not, we don't have the manual on hand to fix it. And we probably won't have a clue where we've hidden it either. Instead of collecting a dusty pile of manuals that you'll eventually lose, store them on your computer instead. You won't even have to go to the effort of scanning each and every page in, because most manufacturers will store an identical copy of the manual online. Simply go onto the store's website, tap in your access or product code, and download the manual. It's much harder to lose something you've stored electronically when you can simply hit Ctrl and F to hunt it down in the future. To make life even easier, make a special folder to store all of your manuals in, and you'll feel like the most productive human ever. Need to find the instructions for an early 2000s blender? You know where to look. Packing clothes. As much as we love going on vacation, we definitely don't like packing, and the only thing worse than packing for a vacation is then having to repack to come back home. We all know how stressful this can be, and we've all been in a position of having to wear too many clothes just to fit our luggage into our size requirements. But you've been storing your clothes all wrong, and there's a simple way to keep them instead, so you'll have a lot more room than ever before. Simply roll your clothes instead of stacking them on top of each other. Rolling your clothes pushes them into a smaller size, which means you can either fit more clothes in your bag or cupboard, or you've got an excuse to go shopping and fill in the new space. But if you're already aware of rolling clothes, perhaps consider these hacks. You can roll socks inside t-shirts or tuck them inside shoes for the ultimate packing trick. And there we were, thinking we were going to have to pay for extra luggage on the way home. If that's not a good enough reason to go on a vacation, then we don't know what is. Storing cookies. Most of us have a jar of cookies somewhere around the house. You might be a frequent snacker who opens the secret jar at least once a day, or you might have more self-control than us and only take a peek when you're really craving a sugary snack. If you're in the former category, then you might not have this problem. But if you're in the latter, then you'll know all about the disappointment of finding stale cookies. We've often considered this an excuse to snack, because it's better to eat all the cookies than it is to let them all go to waste, right? But it turns out you've been storing cookies all wrong, and we've got an easy solution to keep them fresh for a few extra days at the very least. At the top of the cookie jar, place a single slice of bread. Come back in a few days, and you'll find your cookies just as soft and chewy as you first left them. The reason behind this is that cookies have far more sugar than bread, which draws water out of the air and holds it in the cookie. Bread will do the opposite effect and will push all the moisture back inside. Eventually, the bread will get hard, but the cookies, luckily, will stay soft. Filling containers. Occasionally, if we're having a good day, we'll pour something from one container to the other in a relatively stress-free environment. But this doesn't always happen, and a lot of the time we have to struggle with the wrong size containers or having a bottle that doesn't quite fit under the tap. If we get past that point, unless the container has a dip part to pour from, the liquid usually goes everywhere. It's almost enough to make us give up, but a simple product you've got sitting around at home might be enough to make your pouring experiences 100 times easier. While you've been struggling away, some people have mastered the art of pouring. Simply take a dustpan and brush and use that instead. You might be a bit puzzled here, which is perfectly understandable. Ignore the brush, you won't be needing that. Take the dustpan and hold it under the tap from the wide end. Hold it at an angle so the handle end of the dustpan drops just above your container, and pour away. The wide brim of the dustpan will collect up all of the water, and the handle is the perfect accompanying factor to make sure you don't lose a drop. Crossing out words. If you've written something down or would rather people not read it, you'll have to cover it up somehow. You might instead choose to scribble out the words, but again, this is pretty straightforward to look through. Black markers are great, but we don't always have one of those at hand. Instead, write random letters on top of your words. Write them repeatedly in different sizes and styles, and you'll confuse whoever's trying to get to the bottom of your notes. Writing letters practically scrambles the entire words, and if you're trying to be extra secret, you could even go to the lengths of ripping them up afterwards. Even the beadiest of eyes will never try and sneak a peek again. Heating leftovers. The last thing we want after a stressful day at work or school is to come home and have to cook a full meal. Nobody wants that, but you've been heating your food all wrong, because there's an easy way to make sure you're never eating cold potatoes ever again. When you're preparing to put food in the microwave, dig a little hole in the middle, shape the food into a circle around the hole, and make sure it's all evenly spread. The heat will burst through the middle and will keep all of your food at a consistent temperature. Peeling bananas. People say we're the evolved version of chimps, and that we still share a lot of their features. We're considered to have grown from them in the ways we use our hands, how we communicate, to an extent, and the ways we move. So why did we choose to change the way we do one thing, when chimps showed us the best way of doing it? When you peel a banana, you probably go from the top. You'll grab a hold of the brown stalk and grapple with the banana. Sometimes it'll work, but sometimes it won't. You might end up with the perfect banana, or a semi-broken one. So start peeling your bananas the correct way, from the bottom up. Hold the banana upside down and pinch the tip between your thumb and forefingers. The skin will split cleanly in half in one simple movement, and from then on, you'll be able to easily peel the rest of the skin away. Then, you can even use the stem as a handle, giving you a new and improved easy way to eat a healthy snack. We don't know about you, but we'll be grabbing a banana in a moment once this video is over. Keyboard feet. Most keyboards come with two options for standing them up. You can either keep the feet tucked away, or stand them up for a hidden experience. Most of us choose to stand the keyboard on its feet because we naturally assume it puts us in a more comfortable position and it must be more ergonomically friendly, right? The way we see it, if the feet were put there, it must be for a reason. But did you know that having the feet up actually puts your wrists in a straining position? You should always have the keyboard feet tucked away for optimal experience. But it's one thing we're never told when setting up a new monitor. The feet aren't actually there for our comfort after all, but instead to make it easier to see the keys. If you're someone who looks at the keyboard when you type, then the lifted feet make it easier to check where each key is. But if you type without looking, then really there's no benefit for you. Most of us have some ability of typing without looking, which means we should really all type with the feet down for a more ergonomically friendly experience. Wooden spoons. When we're cooking dinner, we always try to use wooden utensils. You'll probably find one in every household, and they're an integral part of baking. We'd always assumed that the reason why we chose wooden utensils over metal or plastic was due to safety reasons. We wouldn't want to stick a metal spoon into boiling hot water, because pretty soon we'd end up burning our hands through the now heated spoon. We also wouldn't stick a plastic utensil into hot food because there's a chance it could melt. So you could say we use wood through a process of elimination. But actually, there's a far better reason why we should be using wooden spoons, and that's because it'll stop your pot boiling over. If we don't keep a watchful eye over our pots, there's a chance they can spill over and cause havoc with our meals. But by placing a wooden spoon or other utensil over the top of the open pan, you'll find that your food never spills over again. This works by popping the bubbles before they get too high and saving you a lot of effort cleaning up afterwards. Best of all, because it's made of wood, there's no chance of accidentally burning the spoon either. Although we'd still recommend you wear gloves when touching hot pans. Peeling oranges. There's nothing quite as delicious as a fresh orange. But one thing we truly hate is getting sticky fingers when we struggle to peel it. And it definitely puts us off eating oranges when we don't have a place to wash our hands nearby. But while we can't really help you out with the peeling part, there is an easy way to make sure your orange doesn't spill juice all over you when it comes to breaking the fruit into segments. Instead of pulling at what looks like the end of a segment, try cutting the orange instead. We're not suggesting you take a knife to your fruit and start attacking it, because we all know you'd end up juicier than ever. But instead, make a few cuts at the top of the segments, and then you'll be able to easily split it apart. All you have to do is cut the top and the bottom from one side, make a vertical slit the whole way down, and your orange will roll out in a nice long strip. Then, you can easily pull out individual segments without the fear of spilling orange juice everywhere. Even better, if you roll the orange gently first, it'll fall into the strip even faster. Well, we're gonna have to go away and reevaluate our lives after realizing we've been doing so many things wrong this whole time. We hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time. Thanks!